Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rumcast. My name is John Gulla. With me co-hosting this episode is Will Hookinga, and together we are the podcast that talks all things rum-related, sometimes with people who love and shape it, or in this case, sometimes just us. Will, it's actually been a while since it's been just us, but I'm incredibly excited to be doing what we're doing as an exercise today. I don't know about you, but have you spent as much time agonizing over bottles as I have?
Oh yeah, you know I have, because I mean we were texting about it earlier today. I thought this would be something that I could just kind of think about for a couple of days and arrive at my choices very easily, but it was incredibly difficult actually to narrow it down. There's a lot of great looking bottles out there, which is what we're doing. This is a topic of conversation that comes up throughout episodes. Fairly often we share thoughts on bottles. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree quite passionately.
Most of the time?
I don't know if it's most of the time. I have some thoughts on our overlap that I'll share in a bit, but we'd kind of kicked around the idea for a few years, I think, of eventually doing an episode about best bottle designs, and now it just seemed like the right time to do it. So we each kind of independently came up with our own criteria. That was something that was interesting to me, was just coming up with, obviously I can just...
How do you even...
I can think of some bottles that I think are my favorite, but I'd never really sat down and compared them and tried to think about what actually does make a good bottle to me. What things do I value? So going through that exercise was really fun, and I'm interested to see kind of how yours is similar to mine and how yours is different. And then, of course, we are going to go through it was originally just going to be like a all-inclusive top 5, just whatever, no restrictions or anything. But as we were going through this, I think both of us were kind of like, if you go with price as just not a factor, you kind of just automatically skip over a lot of lower price stuff. And that's fine if we just want to go with best bottles with money is no object. But also it's kind of interesting just to think about, well, what about the lower priced rums? Which ones look the best out of those? Because a lot of them do look good, but it's they can't necessarily compete all the time with bottles that cost $100, because of how they're priced. So
well, and also it's, this is an episode where we're for once not thinking of the rum at all. So the liquid is irrespective of anything that we're going to be talking about today, which is, we hesitated a little bit because, we usually are all about the rum itself and not about the other things that are related to it. But I think in this case, it is fun and to your point, to talk about, okay, well, what other choices were made that can either help or hurt a product even. Yeah. So even a lower priced or a higher priced.
Yeah. So the way we'll be looking at this, we each have selected 5 rums. One rum had to be $25 or under. One rum could be between $25 and $60. And then we have 3 rums that could just be any price. And I will say that, I don't know if we discussed this very much, but I tried to select rums that are still out there, so I wasn't going back and looking at rums from a one-off Velier release from 10 years ago that had a cool label,
nobody can get.
I wanted to do stuff that is actually out there, and that is, for me, I think all of them are part of at least some kind of ongoing thing. They're not just one-offs necessarily. Yeah.
Well, I'm mostly stuck to the same thing in terms of the idea of this should be something that most people can see, buy, get their hands on, something like that as well. So I think we're mostly on the same page with that. We'll see. I don't want to give anything away either. So maybe I totally went limited series for all of these and you don't even know.
Yeah, it could be. And we are recording video for this episode since it's so visual. So it's something we're trying to do more of, figuring out the technology, the best way to do it. But we do have a YouTube channel. So if you would like to kind of see some of these bottles, we don't have all of the bottles that we selected in our possession. I think all of the bottles, I know all the bottles I selected are ones that I have interacted with in person at some point.
Yes.
Because I think that tactile experience is important. But so we have photos of some of them. We have a few actual bottles to show and that sort of thing. So if you go to YouTube and search the Rumcast, we'll come up. We'll put a link in the show notes as well, so if you'd like to watch and follow along. But John, I think, do we want to go over our criteria and then take a break before we dive into the selections?
Yeah, I think let's go over that now. We'll give people a minute to chew on it before we start making the actual selections.
Okay.
Do you want me to jump in first? Well, let me ask you this question first. How many categories did you actually end up with?
I had 8 categories.
Oh my god.
And there was at least one more I could have added, and I was just like, I gotta cut this at some point.
So I did get up to 7 at one point,
Okay.
and I think we don't want to be so ridiculously off from each other in how we were doing this that we do talk a little bit ahead of time, but we did not discuss this with in detail with either the categories or the rums that we selected for these.
That's right.
So I ended up with 5.
5. Oh, that's a nice round number. I probably should have cut one, so I had 7. 5 and 7 I feel like are nice numbers. But what are your 5 categories?
Okay. In each of these 5, I'm going to give a little bit of some specifics of what I'm putting into those categories, and some of which I could have maybe broken out.
Okay.
But again, the idea was, well, let me get to a place where I feel like this is comfortable and correct and right. So here's the first one. I call this design, or glass design if you want to be more specific.
Okay.
And inside of this is the quality of the product, the bottle itself, the weight, the shape and the color. Not a Foo Fighters album that most people know, but
I remember that album.
All of that is what I have as the first category. And also we should mention, so I think we both weighted these, right? So we created almost like a rubric,
Yes.
right? So I have 5 categories, but they're not evenly distributed in weight
Same here.
across.
And I was worried that you were
Okay.
going to hate my scoring, and you still might hate my scoring system, but yeah. So let us know like how many points each category is worth.
Okay, so glass design is quality, weight, shape, and color. That's 25 points out of 100.
Okay.
So my next category is, I'm calling it usability.
All right.
And this is comfort, it's ease of holding the bottle, it's how easily it pours, functionality in a way you can think of it. And that's also 25 points.
Okay.
So that's my first 50 just between those two. The next one, I did break out stopper. So I thought about this for a while, and I said, you know what? It is kind of a separate from the bottle thing.
I agree.
And there's so much design choice within it that I wanted to break it out. So I have the shape of the stopper, the material it's made from, how well it functions, all of that. And I have that at 15 points.
Okay.
So it's weighted a little less than the others.
All right.
Okay. The next is label. So this is everything to do with the presentation of the information on the bottle and the organization of it.
All right.
And how it's being presented.
Okay.
So that one's also 25 points.
Okay.
So now
Good.
I have 3 categories
I was
of
worried
25.
that your label category was going to be lower, and that was going to be very philosophically different from me. So, okay, I'm glad we're on the same
All right.
page with the value of the label.
So I've got 10 points in my weighted system left to get to 100, and these 10 points belong to a category I just call overall presence. And
The je ne
what
sais
this
quoi.
is how it makes you feel.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Uniqueness, something I might even say star power, right? So when people just naturally gravitate to looking at it, that's the overall presence. So yeah, that one I have is 10 points. So it's a little less weighted, but I think it's worth something.
Okay, so I think
All right, so that's mine.
I think we actually cover all the same bases with ours. You were just very much more neat and tidy with yours. Yours adds up to 100, which is very nice. Mine does not do that. I could have probably spent more, but also my scoring system, it wasn't the final say for me in my selections.
Okay.
It was a guideline. And so I did, like, my 5 rums are in the top 5, but I did, for the category that's like price is no object, the highest scoring one was not in first place for me. But I'll explain that when we get to it.
Okay. I gotcha.
Okay, 8 categories. First category, bottle aesthetics. So this is very similar to your design category. In fact, I think it encompasses the same things. By the way, mine add up to 44, which is a very random number.
What?
But yeah, that's just how it's going to be. So bottle aesthetics.
Dude, I'm like Celsius and you're like Fahrenheit. What is going on here?
Yeah, I actually prefer... I feel like you're more like Fahrenheit and I'm more like Celsius, actually.
Oh, wait, did I get backwards?
Yeah. But I do agree that Fahrenheit is a superior system. The metric system is better all day than what we have here, but Fahrenheit,
we agree that.
Fahrenheit is better than Celsius. I'm sorry, rest of the world. Okay, bottle aesthetics is worth 10. Label is worth 10. Originality is worth 5. And that's just like does this look like something else on the shelf? Is it unique in some way?
Yeah.
Does it have some...
Can you pick it out of a lineup?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Copy is worth 5. So this basically is the words on the bottle, on the label, I would say.
So you have the label aesthetics different category than what actually is what it's saying.
So label for me is more about like how it looks, right? It's the artwork, that sort of thing. I would include
I had both of those.
I would
in
include
one.
things like font and things like that in label, but copy is like the actual words. And what also plays into that is transparency as well. How much information are you giving? That sort of thing. So that's worth 5. How it feels in the hand is worth 5 points as well. How it sits on the shelf is worth 3 points. So the actual feeling of the bottle and like when you pour it and everything, that's important to me. How it sits inside my shelf is important to a degree. You know, some bottles are a little unwieldy, and so I have to kind of ding them for that. But that's not as important to me as how it feels in my hand. So that's why that one's weighted a bit more. So that's 5 points. How it sits on the shelf is 3. And then this one, it's kind of like your last category. It's sort of a piece of it. I call it icon status. So an analogy here is sports uniforms, actually. And if you think about like ranking the best sports uniforms a lot of times, like to use college football as an example, since you're a college football fan, I think a lot of times some of the jerseys that are ranked consistently high are programs like USC, Alabama, Penn State. And they're very nice, you know, they're clean uniforms, but there's nothing crazy going on with them. If someone released one of those uniforms today, it would just be kind of like, oh, that's nice, but it wouldn't really stand out. But because
they're almost basic.
But because they've built up this like legendary aura over time, they have this icon status around them. It's like a halo effect that just makes it feel cooler. So I think that affects how I think about things. So I wanted to represent that. It's only worth 3 points, though. So it's not super heavy. And then last is top or stopper, however you want to say it. That's worth 3 points because honestly, I don't value that super much. I made a quick list of things I realized about what I value in a bottle through the course of this exercise. I'll run through these really quickly. One is I don't care that much about cork versus synthetic versus a screw cap. And I know there are other elements to the stopper than that, but just put that out there at the
You're
start.
already wrong there.
Yeah,
but
I knew you would disagree there. I enjoy a creative label more than a creative bottle. I do value bottles that are subtly creative or different, though. So have something that makes them a little bit different, you know? But the really out there funky shapes and things like that are usually, with some exceptions, are usually not my jam.
Yeah.
Black labels, typically not my thing, which I'd never thought about at all, but just as through the course of going through this, I kind of realized that. And the last one, embossed glass. I like it.
I do too, actually. I like embossed glass also. I think it adds a degree of class, whatever you want to say to it. It just makes it feel nicer.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. The black label thing, you know, you can use black well. You know what? We're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's not do that.
Let's should we take our quick break now?
We should take a break.
Okay, we're going to take our quick break. We're going to come back and we are going to start revealing our picks, the fun part. All right, we are back and ready to dive into the picks. So we are going to start with, was this the hardest category for you, John? $25 and under?
The toughest by far for me, yes.
Why was it so hard?
I had a lot of options in the next category up, I think. But this one, 25 and under, I think it's going to speak to some of the difference that we have in our... we do have a lot of overlap, but some of the differences, I look for bottles that feel... for lack of a better word, classy.
You're saying I like class.
I wasn't saying that.
I'm just out here dumpster diving for bottles. I like the cheap stuff.
You like kitschy a little bit more than I do, I think.
That I will agree with. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. I like kitschy a little bit more than you.
And you can find a lot more of that in the 25 and under.
You can.
But you can't really find the things that I seem to like and gravitate towards as much in the 25 and under. Even the pick that I have, Will, I'm not I don't love it.
Sure.
But it was one of the highest rated in this category for me. And you know, I that's where I'm going to go with it.
All right.
So I'll just out with it here. So my pick is Kopali. So I looked at a lot of sites. I don't know, Will.
Wait,
your
share with
process,
the people which Kopali rum this is.
This is the Kopali white rum.
Okay, so Kopali rum from Belize.
Yes, this is Belize. I think people know about this product. We've talked about it. We've interviewed people from the distillery before, Ed Tige. So we've talked about it. This is an organic rainforest rum.
Cane juice.
From cane juice rum, yep. And it's positioned in the market as a mixer, I think.
Yeah.
Hence its price, right? But it's a high quality and well-made rum.
Yeah.
But again, we're not talking about the rum here. We're talking about the bottle.
Yes.
And what I wanted to talk about with this bottle was it's got some really interesting features to it for a bottle at its price point. One of them being is its shape. It is unique and kind of different. It's got that little bit of a winged shape that is the diameter is broader on its shoulders than it is on its bottom. That does scare me sometimes because you want it to be not top heavy.
Right.
But in this case, I don't actually have this bottle now, but I have held it. I have interacted with it many times, and I don't find that to be an issue with it. But so the colors here work for me. I think with the white rum that they have here, they really pay attention to the rum as a complement, I would say, to the rainforest. They're really speaking loudly with the green colors and a little bit of the gold accents that they're using for showing, hey, what are we about?
Right.
And that's part of what a label is supposed to do. So to me, this is all about highlighting the label. It's a big label area-wise. So you see a lot of that. The Kopali and white font stands out. I even like what they did with the stopper here. At this price point, you have a wooden disc synthetic cork, and that's great. I would prefer that to a screw cap 9 times out of 10. So to me, that is a bonus here as well. And then they even had the little detail of putting the thin strip across the stopper that says distilled and made in Belize. So I think it's really important to them that they know that this is a single estate product from Belize and that people are aware of that. So they put that multiple times on the bottle. One more thing that's very interesting before I let you give some feedback is this bottle's gone through some transition.
Yeah, I've been waiting to say this isn't the current bottle.
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
So the new bottle that I don't believe I've seen it out on shelves yet. I don't know if you have, but I know they announced it. So this is the new one, and you can see it's embossed glass. It's got a lot more going on the label here, and you can see it's got a shape on the label that's kind of unique and cut, more graphic on it. It looks spectacular to me, so I'm really interested to see and get this in my actual hands. I haven't seen it in person yet, but it still stays true to their concept, and I think it's a fun bottle. The question is it still going to meet that $25 limit? Because I just got under the $25 limit with this one. There are sites where this one goes up to $30, but there was at least 3
so
sites
that it
was $24.99.
You're cheating a little bit here with this one.
No. I'm saying 3, not just one. It wasn't like a sale price on one site. There were 3 sites that had it at $24.99 or under, Casker's being one of them. So I feel like it qualifies.
I will say the newest bottle to me, and again, with the caveat that I have not seen that one and held it in my hand in person, but just going off of looks, it's a leap forward to me, because I think the first bottle that you showed with the kind of, it's sort of like reverse tapered, I guess. It sort of like branches out. Yeah. It just looked a little bit like, I think it was because of the way, because it had that sort of V type shape, but then it had the like rectangular label on it, and those clashed. It looked a little bit like we just started our distillery and this is our first bottle, a little bit. And it was like, I kind of see where you're going, but it looks like it's not fully realized. And the third one to me looks fully realized. The shape of the bottle looks improved. The label complements the shape of the bottle really well. It does have those kind of grooves in it that look pretty cool. So I imagine that'll be really nice in person. The third one is the one that when I see it, I'm like, that sticks out on a shelf, with the caveat that I've not seen it on a shelf.
Same here. I think you're onto something there. I would agree with that. I do think they're evolving as they go on and finding their viewpoint for branding. But I will say sometimes you just have to break the rules to stick out. And so that original bottle with the broad shoulders and the label that didn't quite match, it does stick out. And I've seen that one on a shelf. I don't know if you don't have to agree that it sticks out in a positive way. I do like it, and I think every time I see it, it's noticeable. So as a branding, I think they were, yes, finding their footing, but they were successful in doing so.
I think for me, it's not that it stuck out in a bad way. Just to me, it didn't. And I've seen it on shelves. It's not really distributed up here in Nashville, but when I'm traveling, I've seen it. It didn't stick out that much to me. And I think the new one will. And it's, it's subtle differences between it. I mean, it does seem like the kind of ridges on the glass and everything do seem like a big difference, but you know, the label and everything, it's subtle differences. But okay.
All right. Well, let's hear your pick.
What was your score for that bottle? Did you score it?
77 out of 100.
Okay.
This wasn't one of my, highest, but because we had the restriction on price, this was one of the highest that I selected. So I had, for its glass design, I had it as a 21 out of 25. I had a 20 for its usability, which, by the way, I've not had a problem with it. I've poured it just fine and feel like even at what it was doing, it's fine. Also, it's fine on the shelf. Like, I don't think it would be a problem to put on the shelf and have it take up more space than it needed to. For the stopper, that's one that was just fine. It's a 9 out of 15. It's good. It's better, like I said, that it's a synthetic cork. It would have rated lower if it was a screw cap. I had the label as a 20, which, again, to me, had everything it needed on there. We didn't spend much time talking about the copy on it, but again, it doesn't need a whole lot. It tells you what it is, and that's all it is. And then the last thing, I had a 7 for its overall presence, star power, unique. So that's not 70%. That's a little higher than average.
All right. You ready for my pick?
Yeah, let's go for yours. I want to see what you've got in this category that was difficult, and then after that we can do some honorable mentions.
Okay, so I'm going to go in a completely different direction. You went with something that's new, different. Well, I mean, mine's certainly not different, but it's certainly not new. In fact, it comes from what describes itself often, I think, as the oldest rum distillery in the world. And John, this wasn't something that I expected to pick at first, just because it's one of those things that's always been there. It's always been there, sometimes the person in your life that's just kind of been around and you don't notice them. Then one day you see them in a different light and all of a sudden it clicks. That was Mount Gay Eclipse for me.
Oh, come on, man.
What?
Come on. You're getting on me for saying that this is the one of the most boring bottles out
come
there.
on. No, it's
fine.
What you're
fine.
describing as boring, I would describe as classic, dependable, steady, and when you pick up the bottle, you will feel the quality. It's got the nice, the Mount Gay Distilleries embossed lettering underneath the label is very nice. I've also found something that I really value in bottles is I like map imagery on bottles. Something I hadn't really noticed before, but I like the island of Barbados on there. The Mount Gay logo is iconic to me. Mount Gay Barbados rum, seeing that on there. It's got nice details. It tells you a little bit about the production, a little bit about the history. There's not too much. I like the red color of the top, really pops. And again, I will say, I think that one of the reasons you might look past it on the shelf is because it's been there for so long and it's so dependable and you know what it is. And when you go into a store, you're looking for the new, the different, the exciting. So you look right past it. But when I walked, I went back to some stores, I looked at some bottles. I just think this is a really well done, affordable rum bottle that's out there. It's not trying to.
Yeah. Wait, did you say for listeners, this is Mount Gay Eclipse? I can't remember.
I think I did, but yes, this is Mount Gay. This is the only Mount Gay. Well, actually, I think they have a white rum that I never see anywhere around me. But yes.
Right, and Black Barrel.
Right. This is the only one out of the main lineup that is consistently under $25, other than the white one that I mentioned.
That's true.
So
yeah, good point.
I will say how this one scored out. This one ended up being a 36.5 out of 44, and I think I looked at this a little differently than you because I within each category, I kind of graded them just comparing them to that category. So I think the scores, if I were comparing these to all the other rums, these scores would probably be lower. But I'm thinking of bottle aesthetics in terms of rums under $25, basically, is how I'm scoring these.
Yeah, I struggled with that. I wanted to create one consistent scale, but I recognize that is something that makes sense, what you're doing.
So, bottle aesthetics, 8 out of 10. Label, 8 out of 10. Originality, 3 out of 5. It's not super original, but it is like kind of a, I don't necessarily see other bottles that have this exact shape. So it is it's almost like a tall flask kind of shape without being too wide and too broad. So it still feels really nice in the hand. This did get a 4.5 out of 5 of how it feels in the hand. Sits on the shelf, 3 out of 5. Copy was 4 out of 5. Icon status, again, something I value. 3 out of 3 for me. Just iconic, Mount Gay, classic. It has a little bit of an aura around it. And then the top, I gave it 3 out of 3 because, like I said, I don't give a shit about corks and synthetic corks. A screw cap is fine. I love the bright red, the way it pops. It screws on, it screws off. It's a wonderful invention. So 36.5. That actually was the highest scoring one out of the ones I scored. I did score 6 different rums for this category. Some were ones that immediately came to mind. I know we're going to do some honorable mentions, so I'll roll off a few. Doorley's XO. Primarily because I really love that bottle shape, which is used all the way through up to the ECS release. So that's an expensive bottle shape as well. The little kind of ribbon medallion thing around the neck is very nice. The only thing, and I don't think it looks bad, it's just not necessarily for me. And I'm not against birds and parrots and things like that. It's just the specific types. I think it's because they use like real photographs of the birds. It's just something. It gives.
Is it a real photograph?
I don't know. It like kind of they look too realistic to me. It gives me a little bit of like Jimmy Buffett vibes, and I'm not really a Jimmy Buffett fan. I mean, I don't have anything against him. He has some nice songs. It's just not something I ever listen to. So that's like the only thing that held it back a little. But that actually scored a 36 for me. And then another honorable mention that, since I have the bottle right here, this is one that should be coming to the U.S. soon, although this one did not. Rum Bologna. So this one, just kind of nice and classic looking. Nothing like too crazy, but it just looks nice. It's got some nice embossed glass elements on there. The ship logo at the bottom, as you can see there.
I like that.
And I think this is maybe the only bottle I've seen that uses this pale yellow color, which strangely, like, I kind of dig it. The sort of pale yellow and the green.
It's like the Green Bay Packers. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of it's paler. It's a softer yellow than that. So I think this one ended up scoring a 35. So those were my top 3 in that category.
Okay.
Actually, the next highest scoring was actually Ray and Nephew, which I scored a 35.5 because I know that you absolutely hate the way that bottle looks, but it's a classic to me, and so I had to mention that one as well. Honorable mention, even though it's super hard to find right now. So
yeah. Okay, well, first of all, I can give you the icon status thing that you're going for. I like both of your honorable mentions better than the one you actually picked, by the way. And I'm okay with that. I still give you a little bit of pushback on like originality being 3 out of 5, so it's more original than it is not original, and that seems, I don't know, man. I don't know. I get it. I don't love the bottle. I do love the product. I think it's a great product. I do love some of the elements you mentioned. I feel like it's boring. Well, you didn't sway me.
This is where we differ, because I would take the Mount Gay Eclipse bottle over the old Capali bottle that you showed 10 times out of 10. Because to me, the old Capali one looks like a craft distillery that has not figured it out yet. It does not. The package is not complete. There's something missing. Something was off a little bit. I'll give you the new one, which may be too expensive for this category now, does look much, much, much better. And if you had led with that one, I think it would have been more persuasive for me.
When you put that Capali bottle out on its own, like on a bar, right? Bar top, it is attractive. I will tell you. Something about it. Well, again, this is subjective, but I think it's attractive. All right. Let me give you some of my my honorable mentions here. I'm not going to go through scores, but just to give you Appleton Signature. So Pretty classic, the bottle shape, the bottle design. Elaine Arthur's is actually pretty cool.
You like
looking.
that one, really?
It's not too bad.
I thought that would be too kitschy, too out there with the gold, the special and everything. I considered that one as well. I like that one.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but it made my short list, let's put it that way, because there's a lot of bad in this category. A lot of it. Dorley's XO did make my short list. Barcelo Imperial.
Ugh.
Barcelo Imperial is a nice bottle. Ugh. It is. It's a nice bottle.
I hate the Barcelo aesthetic.
And then one that you might actually agree with me on, Lang's. So have you seen the new bottles from Lang's banana and pineapple rums? You got to look those up.
No, I have not.
So look, this is a flavored rum. It's not something that, we're going to champion here. Although I will say it proudly wears flavored on its chest. So it's not like trying to, hey, this is it's very much a flavored rum, and that's what their thing is.
Yeah.
But look at those bottles. They're actually quite nice in total. So
it's all right.
This is going to be, like you mentioned, the most contentious episode of the Rumcast ever.
It's okay. I mean, maybe it's because a lot of the label is, I said the thing about labels where black is kind of a dominant color, or it's kind of hard for me.
I thought there was green now.
Well, the one that I'm looking at is black with yellow lettering, then it has a green strip with black lettering. I really don't like the black lettering on the green either. It's kind of hard to read.
No, you're right. It is black. Yeah. Yep. I like that. I like it. I think those are well executed.
It's good.
Okay.
I'm glad you like it.
All right. Let's move on. This was the toughest category. Maybe we should have ended with it.
That might be the most contentious. Actually, no, I don't think it will. I think you're going to hate my next pick more than
I think you're going to hate mine too. So this is going to get worse and worse.
All right.
Okay.
You want to lead us off, or are we snake drafting this?
Oh, we should snake draft it, though.
Okay.
We should.
So this is our between $20 and $60 category. And this is one that I did not at first, it didn't come to mind at first. I listed a bunch of stuff off, and then I started going through my cabinets, and I saw this one. And I remember when this came out, it grabbed me instantly. I thought I had never seen another label like this one.
Okay.
The label is so original to me and so different. I just love it. And it has so many elements that seemingly shouldn't work, but they all do for me. So, Providence, Dunder and Syrup, which I think we've talked about in the past, and I know you don't like.
It's fine.
So here's the whole bottle, backing out on the video a little bit. Again, something I learned about myself is how much the label, to me, like the label is usually the first impression, and it's usually the thing that draws me in more so than the bottle. Mm-hmm. Again, bottle is weighted. I do think this is a very nice, it's a subtle bottle, but it has this nice kind of slim taper down the side, some nice kind of smooth transition into the neck up here. So it's an understated but nice bottle. The label, though, the combination of the fonts, first of all, I love the Providence font, the blue against kind of the cream, the pinstripes in the background, I think are so cool. And then you have this almost like, I don't know, it's just like medieval font where it says Haitian rum, kind of, which again,
it does
is
look
something
a little,
that I feel like I wouldn't usually like, but I just feel like it works so well on here.
I don't know. It looks like ye olde rum.
I love it. They pulled it off, I think, with kind of like the black border around the edge of the red. Then you have this little window that kind of harkens back to some of the Clarin Spirit of Haiti bottlings. So the sort of pastoral art on some of them. You have that there, little window. Just a detail that like I think most designers wouldn't think to do, but they added that. It's really nice. The product of Haiti down here, Haitian single rum. Produced from crystalline sugarcane syrup and juice, and on the back just a very nice summary of a little bit, like that's not a huge paragraph, it's not a ton of text, but it tells you a lot. It tells you a little bit about the history, it tells you a little bit about the production and what makes this special. And I don't know, like if I could get a t-shirt that had this label on it, I would get it and I would wear it all the time. It just really hits for me. So also the top, the little blue paper around there, very nice. This is
that's nice. I'll give
synthetic
that.
cork, which looks like every other synthetic cork, which is just fine for me. This one scored out, let me check here. So this one scored out a 37.5 out of 44, 8 out of 10 in the bottle aesthetics department, 9.5 out of 10 in the label department for me, 4.5 out of 5 for originality. The label is carrying the weight a lot there because, like, you know, I do think it's a slightly original bottle, but it's not that crazy of a bottle. But again, the label to me is very, very original. I can't think of another label I've seen that looks like this one. Copy 4.5. How it feels in the hand, 5 out of 5. This is exactly what I want out of how a bottle feels in the hand. Ergonomic right here. 3 out of 3 for how it sits on the shelf. 0 out of 3 for icon status. This is a very new brand, and I do think, like, you could argue that the relationship with Velier gives it a little bit of a Velier dust sprinkled onto it. But I think it needs time to build up the icon status, so I couldn't give it any points there. 0 out of 3. And the top is a 3 out of 3 for me because it looks fine and it's functional. So...
Well, I will start with saying I don't know that I hate it. You mentioned that I hate it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe if I look in the past, maybe I did say that. But I don't love it, that's for sure. Which is, it's just, I don't know, it kind of feels like I would walk right past that in any store shelf. It feels, like you said, actually, interestingly, I'm gonna lobby it back at you. Feels like a craft distillery that's just trying to find its way.
No way.
And... Yeah, it's like using Microsoft fonts.
No way.
And just picked one that was like interesting. And it's like, oh, well, this is different. Let's do it. And well, should we use red or blue for our scheme? Yeah, let's use both. And with pinstripes in the back.
It's like class meets punk a little bit, and they pull it off wonderfully. It's a work of...
well, no, I definitely can't go there with you. All right. Well, you are going to probably equally hate mine, I think, or I could be surprised. You could say, you know what? No, given the scope of what we're doing, maybe you'll agree. But the scope is important here for a couple reasons. First, I want to say that this category, I had 2 that were neck and neck, and I scored them identical. And they're very similar in their aesthetic, same color bottle, share some traits, same price point. So I'm going to give you the one I didn't go with, and then I'm going to give you what I did and why. So the one I didn't go with was... the Rum GM Terroir Volcanique.
Oh, okay. I thought that might be on your short list.
It absolutely
Beautiful
was,
bottle.
and it is an amazingly lovely bottle. Yes.
We're going to end up agreeing on all the rums we didn't pick.
The one I did go with that I think has some shared DNA somehow is Diplomatico Reserva Exclusiva, the DRE,
the bottle
baby.
that just glows with the color of algae.
Oh, no way. No. This is the color of money, bro. The color of money. Let me tell you why I picked this over Terroir, because I know some people are probably going, what?
I mean,
that over Terroir.
First of all, picking it is somewhat defensible, but picking it over Rum GM Terroir Volcanique is put you in a stockade somewhere.
Okay, well, let me explain. We don't talk about this one much because the rum itself is obviously very sweetened and they don't exactly make that well known, which we don't like very much. So from that perspective, it's a fail. But I'm just talking about the aesthetic here. I don't yet own a bottle of Terroir Volcanique, and so that was part of the reason why I didn't pick it, because I haven't held it.
You haven't picked it up?
I haven't experienced
they have it at all the shows and everything.
I haven't.
It's on store shelves. You haven't just picked one up just to give it a feel?
Well, they poured it for me, but I don't think I've had it in my hands. And I've tasted it a couple of times. I don't even remember what the back of the label or the back of the bottle looks like. So I couldn't find it even online. I searched for probably way longer than I should have just to see if I could find what the back of this bottle looks like and what it says.
Registry. I'll teach you the ways.
Oh, well, that would have been smart. I didn't even think of that. I just used Google image search like a dummy. Yeah. Anyways, that was another one. And then 3, the reason will be revealed a little bit later. So... We can talk all we want about the rum itself not being in our favorites, but the reality of this is one of the rums that got me into rum very early on.
I bought that bottle super early on, so I do think it's a bottle that stands out. Yeah.
Yes. I'm not alone in that, and I'm glad to hear you say that, because most people, I think it's a gateway rum.
The Bumbu bottle stands out a lot, too.
Well, I guess it does. I think this one's more of a rite of passage rum that rum geeks like us have experienced at some point, and many of us bought it and even enjoyed it as we were going through our rum journey. So I don't think that's on accident, and I don't think it's because the rum is the best thing ever. I think it's the overall look of this bottle, and it's what it's contributing to the experience. I mean, it looks like money, like currency to me. Which, by the way, you may not know this about me, but I actually collect currency from around the world. So maybe that's another connection.
I don't get the money. It's too dark. It's too dark to be money.
No, what are you talking? Well, it also looks like a stamp. Yeah, maybe you can see the stamp edges. Yeah. So it's got that look. It's got the little like seal that looks like it was stamped on there also, which kind of looks money-ish to me. The shapes,
you got to hold it a little bit to your left.
All
of
the design.
Okay, there it is. There we go. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The design of it here looks a lot like currency.
Okay, yeah, I do see it. Yeah, because it has the guy on it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about it that gives me that feel. The dark green muted kind of color there also, I think, backs that up. It just makes it feel kind of historical, antique, and it seems like heavily say seems like quality.
That to me, I think, I do think, yeah, it's hard to separate the rum from it, and I'm not judging it on the rum. I actually, if you had selected Diplomatico Planas, I think that bottle looks way. I think that bottle looks way better. It's like almost the same label. The colors are just different, and it's a clear glass bottle. And I actually am often partial to darker glass bottles, which is interesting because the first two I did are both clear. But the Planas one, to me, I like the aesthetic of it, the blue and the white together. There's something about bottles with frosted glass are very hit or miss for me. Like Terroir Volcanique has frosted glass. And it works. It works for me.
That's what I'm saying. It's very similar.
The Diplomatico one, I don't like it as much. I almost listed this in my thing of things I found out about myself. I feel like I'm not as drawn to labels that have like the picture of the person on it, because I feel like that's such a staple of like the low quality product trying to disguise itself as being classy is like let's pick some historical figure and slap their face on the bottle. You've got that. You've got Don Papa,
does happen, but you're overreaching.
Like it's a classic go-to move for like let's trick people into thinking this is quality, which is what with that bottle I would say is going on. And also I would just. I know we're not judging the liquid, but I do have the copy category, which does bring into, are you lying by omission on your bottle? Which I think they are. So, again, that would ding it for me and make me not want to pick it as much.
Yeah, so I get that. And I think in your rubric, that does make sense. I didn't have that in mind quite as weighted. I did consider it. Like I know this is not the only bottle to do this, but on the side of it, it says rum with an H, RHUM. Right. And part of me is like, why do they have that? Because this is clearly not an RHUM rum. But I guess that's just because when they sell it in other countries and there's some of that stuff going on. But
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Anyhow, I think this bottle is iconic, to use your word.
I agree
think it is inescapable for people that know rum. And, it's surprisingly... It's good in your hand. It pours really well. The shape is nice. It's got a real cork, actually, for this price point is not bad. I know that doesn't make much for you. I know you're already like, ooh, yay. But in terms of the transparency, I did knock it a few points because the story stuff on the back is kind of like, whatever. I don't need that. So I'll give you the scores real quick. So on overall design, quality, weight, shape, 21 out of 25. Usability, 23 out of 25. I mean, it's perfectly usable.
Yeah, it's functional.
The stopper, I gave it a 10 out of 15. Label, I gave it an 18 out of 25. And then overall presence, I gave this one, overall presence-wise, this is a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
So, the total score there of an 83. And it's the same for the Terroir Volcanique, really. So, they scored out exactly, and I was like, well, we never talk about this rum, so I'll go with that one as the tiebreaker for now.
Well, I'd be shaking your hand right now if you'd gone with the Terroir Volcanique. I love that one. I even like the Montuano
Yes,
Diplomatico. I like more than the Exclusiva.
I just think you're
Reserva
inherently
Exclusiva.
biased. You're so biased you can't see past it.
No, how's that bias? It's the same brand. It's like almost the same
Oh,
label. It's just different colored glass
I'm
and
saying,
different.
yeah. I'm saying, well, I see what you're saying. No, I was saying you just don't like the rum so much that.
Oh no, it's honestly. I mean, look. Is there something in my subconscious that is prejudiced against that rum because of the additives? Possibly so. I'm not perfect, John. But I will say, just judging those 3 bottles in a vacuum, if I were to rank them, I'd have to think about the Montuano and the Planas, what order those would be in. But I know Reserva Exclusiva would be in the last position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like both of those also. I think the whole line, they do a good job. So, yeah. All right. So we're snake drafting, right?
Can I throw out some honorable mentions real quick?
Of course.
Another one that scored very highly for me, and this is a bottle I've always liked, and I like so much so that I've almost wanted to buy a bottle before, but I've had the rum and it's just not really anything special to me, honestly, even though it is an icon of the rum world.
Okay.
And that's Havana Club 7.
Yeah,
I really like that bottle. I don't like the aged one that is younger than that. That's like the skinny, tall bottle. I don't like those bottles. This is the more
Reserva,
stubby.
maybe?
Yeah,
remember.
I think so.
Yeah.
This is the more stubby Havana Club 7 bottle with the classic. It is a black label, but the Havana Club logo is just so, like, when you see that, it's just so cool and iconic. That one graded out. Same score as the Providence, actually. I just like this one more. This one is just a little bit more unique to me. This is a newer one that graded out really high, and I hadn't spent that much time with this bottle in person until I went to a tasting on Friday, so 2 nights ago. Mike Hooker from Holmes Key was in town doing a tasting, and the new Holmes Key Heritage Blend bottle. Have you seen this one? It's a brown glass bottle, and it has kind of like it's a clear label, but it's like white sugarcane and white Holmes Key lettering. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I do know which one now. Yes, I remember it. Yes.
I was very impressed with that bottle. It really, out of all the bottles they had up there, perhaps because it was different from the standard Holmes Key ones, it just really stood out to me. And I picked it up. I was like, this is really nice. And I can't think of another rum that's out there right now that looks anything like this, even though the bottle isn't a super original bottle shape or anything, but just the dark brown glass with the white label, it really pops, and I really like that one.
It's funny, we are so polar opposite on most of these.
You don't like that one?
I love almost every Holmes Key bottle. I think
I think their standard stuff looks nice, but it's just like there's just nothing that speaks to me about it. It looks nice, and that's hard to do. So I'm not trying to downplay it.
Yeah.
It is hard to pull off something that just looks nice and looks like it belongs and looks like quality. And their bottles do look like that. They're just I don't know.
To me, they favor the right information, right? So, in the color, and this is from the source of here, and they do that in a classy way that to me is that's what I want my top shelf to look like. So they're almost the standard. Spoiler alert, I don't have one of their bottles in my 5 here that we're going to talk about today. But as a series and what they do, I think they do it almost as good, if not better, than anybody else for what I'm looking for. That said, that bottle that you're talking about is my least favorite Holmes Key bottle.
Really? You like the Isadico one more than that?
That's the other one I don't care for.
I don't like that bottle at all. This one I think looks really cool.
Yeah, the Isadico bottle and this one are my least favorite from Holmes Key. I do think the single origin series now, is that right? Do I have that right?
Those are okay.
Those are decent.
To me, this is an improvement on those. Yeah.
No. See, I got to go the other way on that one.
Another one, if we were judging front labels only, Nissan Blanc would have been very high here. I fucking love the Nissan. And you know what? It has the stripes in the back, but I love the little like green stars around the edge. There's just the font of the Nissan. There's so much character to it. Yeah. I love those bottles. You hate those bottles? You hate Nissan?
I think they're an odd shape. They're distinct.
Yeah, that held it back a little bit.
They're distinct.
I do. Yes, they're distinct. It's not my favorite to hold or to have on a shelf. It's bulky.
They kind of, to me, that's another one that the design itself just doesn't do much for me. looks like it's still a work in progress, like we talked about earlier.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come
No,
on.
I don't
It
see
looks like it looks like something that's been
I do like
amazing
their
for decades and decades, which is what it is.
No, I don't see it that way. I also hate Alabama, by the way, going back to that in the opener.
Oh, well, I mean, you only hate them because they've kicked everyone's ass for decades and decades.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah.
Also, Penn State. Nope, not a fan of those either. So there's
I don't
something
like
you
those,
tend
yeah.
to favor in those type of areas of iconic, old school, whatever you want to call it, and I don't really like that as much.
I could say old school, but I mean, Alabama and Penn State are as vanilla. Like, those to me are more like the home ski labels that you like so much. Like, they look nice, they're standard, there's not much going on.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, let's move on. We're entering our price is no object phase.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I think it's your turn to go first.
real quick before we do that, I know I already mentioned Terroir Volcanique was in my also honorable mentions, but I also wanted to mention a couple that I do think are really great bottles. Don Q7. Don Q7 is a heck of a great bottle to hold for its price point at like 30-ish bucks. Really like what they're doing there. I think it's an awesome bottle. The Privateer Navy Yard is really cool.
That is a nice bottle.
Really
Yep.
good looking. That gold and dark
Very
navy
striking.
blue is really striking, and it stands out. Really good stuff. And then Grander. I've always told you I like Grander bottles. I think most of them fall within this price range. I think their information that they provide in such a minimalized way, with the embossed bottle really taking over the rest of it, is really awesome. So those are all really good bottles also for me. Okay, so going into the price is no object here. I was a little surprised by this category. I expected to try to find bottles that might be a little bit more, like you said, difficult, limited, all this stuff, and I didn't end up going that route, which I thought was kind of cool and fun and interesting. So I actually do have this bottle here. Let me grab that. And that bottle is St. Lucia Distillers Chairman's Reserve 1931.
Pull it a little bit to your left.
Ah.
There we go. Okay.
So this bottle, the first thing you note about it, of course, is it's so wide and thin shaped as opposed to the typical rounded bottle, which really makes it stick out, but somehow still remains super elegant, not odd. Like you mentioned, like weird bottle shapes. This is a different bottle shape, but I don't feel like it suffers for that. Sometimes I worry about how bottles that are oddly shaped will fit on the shelf, like we talked about. This one slides in very well. I have no problems there. Another worry that I often have about really differently shaped bottles are the usability. That can sometimes be heavily sacrificed, as we talked about. But this one, no, I'm fine with it. It fits around my hand just fine and pours really, really well. So I think it does what it's trying to achieve here. They seem to really have a grasp on branding. And by they, I mean not only St. Lucia, but really Spiribam here. Spiribam, that's why we mentioned Terroir Volcanique with Rum GM. What a great bottle. And I had to choose between this one and another St. Lucia Distillers bottle, which I'm well known for liking, the Admiral Rodney. So
I'm surprised one of those isn't making an appearance, but there's some crossover between those bottles and this bottle, so I see the appeal for you.
So that's I ended up going with the 1931, which scored the same as the Admiral Rodney for me, and they do have those similarities. Like you said, there's some thematic elements there. The stopper on this one is nice, well-crafted wood round. It feels really good in the hand. It's probably one of my very favorite stoppers to just feel to take on and off the bottle, and it's really well made. It also has a little metal like disc in the top of it.
Yeah.
That's just such a nice little touch that kicks it up a notch, and I really like that. It's unobtrusive. The bottle itself, the label is so small as part of the overall, so it's really featuring the color of the rum here, and yet it still manages to include a lot of good detail on it, including the year it was bottled, a bottle-specific number, the master blender's signature, and the managing director, Margaret Montplaisir, that her signature as well. So nice little touches to honor what they're doing there at St. Lucia Distillers. The back of the label is also really, really small. It doesn't need to give a whole lot here and just lets the rum kind of shine through, which is, I think, the whole point of having such a wide bottle in the first place. So to me, this one just succeeds at all levels. The little gold accents that are here and there are there. It kicks it up a slight notch in terms of class, but doesn't, it doesn't go into that gaudy territory that sometimes a lot of gold foil will do. So, I love this bottle. I love everything about it. It's really, really something that stands out for me. I'll go through quick scores on it. So 23 out of 25 for the design of the glass, the quality and the weight, the shape. 19 out of 25 for the usability. It does suffer a little bit because of the lip on it. So because it has to accommodate the bigger
Dribbles
stopper,
a little when you pour.
it does, and it's got a white label. So when you drip that rum onto there, if you don't wipe it up immediately, it's going to stain it. So it did lose a good amount of points there. Stopper's a perfect 15 out of 15. The label itself, it's minimal, right? It's a minimalistic label, but I have it as a 19 out of 25, so didn't overly do it. And then a 9 out of 10 for its star power and overall presence. So that ended up being an 85. A really good score, and just one I'm really happy to have. And I'm actually considering buying another bottle of this at some point, which is weird because this is a low.
Why is that weird?
It's a low ABV rum, and we've got so much other good Chairman's Reserve stuff out there that I think I gravitate towards now. But I love the bottle, and I'm running out of it, and I kind of want it again. So
you could just buy other good lower priced Chairman's Reserves and pour them into that bottle.
That's not a bad idea at all. Is that illegal?
Yeah.
That might be illegal.
I mean, only if you're a bar. It's not illegal to do it in your home.
I'm not a bar, so
yeah. It's a nice bottle. I don't have anything negative to say about it. It's all a matter of personal taste. The big stoppers for me, it looks nice, and I don't think there's anything wrong about what you're saying. It does feel nice in the hand. I don't like the bigger, chunky stoppers quite as much. There's just something about them that I don't know. It just feels like trying too hard a little bit for me. But I agree. Like it's a very classy bottle, very nice.
Well, let's move on to your first of the three with
all right.
No money is no object.
So this is one that is an ongoing series of releases. They do have small differences, mostly in accent colors, depending on where it comes from.
I know what this is. You tipped your hand.
Do you?
Yeah. You want me to tell you?
Yeah. Hit me with it.
It's the Flag series.
It is not
the
Flag series.
Wow. Okay. All right. I stand corrected.
It is the Habitation Bellier series.
I don't like these.
I don't see how you can be a fan of rum and not like this, but I feel like you have to, if there were such thing as like a card, like a rum fan card, and you don't like these bottles, you should have to like turn it in. This was the bottle early on in my rum journey. Once I kind of got past, some rums with additives and things, this was like, I saw these bottles online all the time, and they came from these legendary distilleries, no additives, high strength, and I just like, I'd never seen another bottle like it. And I was just like in awe of them. It's a very similar feeling to growing up when there were certain albums I wanted to buy, CDs that weren't available in my town, and just like lusting after these certain albums for so long, like looking at the cover art, like wanting to find them somewhere, and like finally traveling to another city where I could get one. That was kind of my relationship with these bottles. So there's a ton of details in these that I love. We'll start with the label, first of all, which the artwork, the hand-drawn pot still drawings, just for me, drew me in so much. They show you something that's unique and different about the distillery. There's sort of like a craftsmanship angle with it. The little touches with all the different fonts, all the little different flourishes, this kind of like cursive writing right here underneath, where this is the one I'm holding up is the Mount Gay 2011. You could pick any of them. I think I gravitate the Hamden ones that have the yellow accent colors. I think are really cool and pop a lot. But you could hold up any of them. They do this sometimes. They don't do this on all of them, but the little descriptor that's written in cursive where it says a very rare triple distillation. Just a really nice touch there, getting in the different font. Obviously, all the information, the geeky information, which I think you can go overboard with, and this probably leans a little bit toward overboard, but I don't have a problem with lots of text. I think the way it's easy to read, it's easy to see, the angel share and everything. And then on the back, just a simple, small label, a little bit about the rum itself, the place it came from, and then the little details on the sides. Again, embossed glass, where it says Habitation Bellier right there.
Yeah.
I believe there's, that might be it actually. But yeah, the kind of weird flask shape. It looks like something you'd see in like, I don't know, like an apothecary or something.
I agree.
It almost looks like medicine a little bit.
It does.
And it's just so striking. I couldn't think of any other bottle that comes close to the full package of like everything that comes together here in terms of originality. I just think it's super original. So it scored really high in a lot of areas for me. Let me pull it up. So this one was a 10 out of 10 bottle aesthetics. Again, like I said, just for me, it just stands out. Label 10 out of 10. Again, really great. Originality 5 out of 5. Copy 5 out of 5. How it feels in the hand 3.5. So it's not the friendliest, pour when you're pouring it into stuff. You got to kind of grip it the right way. How it sits on the shelf 2.5 out of 3. So again, not perfect. Icon status, I do have this as a 3 out of 3, just because not mass market icon, but if you're a rum fan, it's an iconic bottle. And then the top 3 out of 3 because it doesn't really do anything negative. It's a simple synthetic cork. It works. It's functional. It's good. I love these bottles. Yeah. This is one, I'm not a collector, but I could see like if I had a bunch of these, and I don't have a bunch of them just because they're, they can be hard to source in the US, but just all of these in a row, I think looks really cool, especially like getting to see all the different stills and everything.
Yeah.
Just a very cool. Velier just, I tried not to pick too much from them, but it was a little hard. So I at least picked like different brands that they touch in some way, but their design team, and I'm sure it's different people involved with this stuff, but it speaks my language.
I get it. And I get why there's a lot of people like you that also love these bottles, like, at a fever pitch. I've seen people go crazy for these. So you're not alone. I totally get it. I don't hate them either. There's something about them that I don't love. What I do love, and I share with you, is the information that's on the label. The still, showing the still, it's cool. Yeah. I liked seeing it, but I don't know, something about it just makes it feel awkward.
Wow, the still is the hang up for you?
Well, it's huge on the label. It's the focal point.
But the whole point of the series is highlighting
to show
pot
that,
still
which
rum,
I get.
so it's like it's the star. Yeah.
But it doesn't, like, they're not devices that look elegant, I guess is what I would say.
What?
Yeah.
You just saw one of Mount Gay's pot stills and you don't think it looks elegant?
I would say it looks like
Is there a mob with pitchforks in your front yard right now?
I would say
if this was live, that might happen.
No, look, I'll probably get hate mail from saying this, but I think it almost looks like a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah, Rube Goldberg machines look cool. They're fun. Did you ever play Mousetrap as a kid? It was super fun.
It was, actually. I agree with you there. But it looks like those cartoons where there's like these machines that like in Bugs Bunny are like and they're all kind of, that's what those kind of look like to me. And I don't, maybe it's because I haven't seen them in person for the most part. Like I haven't been to Mount Gay and seen that, or many of the other ones that are depicted. And maybe I would change my mind if I did. But as of right now, I like a still for what it does. I want it to be functional and make great rum, but I don't find it aesthetically pleasing on its own.
I think they're beautiful.
Okay. Well, hey, to each their own. I'm going to be in the minority here.
Theme. That may be the subtitle of this podcast, to each their own.
I like it. I do believe I'm going to be in the minority. The people that listen to this podcast are going to be more in line with your thoughts on those. But like you said, it looks like a medicine bottle. It looks like it's in an apothecary. I would agree with that 100%. I just don't want that in my rum bar. I want something different in terms of an aesthetic. The dark bottle, by the way, you're much more of a fan of than I am.
I really like dark glass. Yeah, I'm into it.
But I will say, paradoxically, we talked about the Flag series, and I like those, and that's a dark bottle. And for some reason, I do appreciate what they're doing with those. So, all right.
Well,
on to. Oh no, your next one, right? Because we're snaking.
I can go again. Yeah, sure.
Is that right? Yeah,
that's fine. So, I will have to share my screen for this one because unfortunately, I would really love to possess a bottle of this rum, but I don't have one right now. Okay, are you ready?
I am ready.
This is from a distillery that you closely considered earlier, but went against ultimately. Okay. This is from Rum GM.
Okay.
And it is the 15-year vintage bottles. So
the leather belt.
Yes. This
looks like to me.
You don't like this bottle? I thought we would align on this one at least.
Of all of them, this one I don't really love as much as some of the other ones.
We've got to have a...
Yeah.
I feel like we need to sit down in person and like really hash this out on like a deep level. Just something is off with us. I can't believe we've done hundreds of podcast
I need to hear before I start
together, and we're so far apart on these things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, go for it. Make your case.
I actually went back and forth a million times between the Rum GM 10-year vintage and the 15-year vintage. The 10-year is more the standard label. Like all the Rum GM labels have that hand-drawn view of the distillery, which I it's so cool. It's so like, you know, it's unique in a way just because it is hand-drawn. It's their distillery, obviously, but there's just something really nice about it and like sense of place that you get from the label. I ultimately went with this one just because when I've seen the bottle in person, it made me like stop and like pick it up and feel it and just like really just sit there staring at it, you know, for like 30 seconds. And so that's ultimately like it really stayed with me. The feel of it, like you said, it's almost like leather. It sort of looks like it's kind of like, you know, this is like not going to help my case at all, but you know, like the little brand thing on the back of jeans.
Yes,
it's sort of like that.
That's exactly what it is.
It's like embossed leather, sort of. I don't think it's actual leather, but it might be. It feels a little bit like that. It has the same Rum GM scene on it. Glass bottle, sort of dark green glass, which I am partial to. I think when done well, it's really cool. Has like some embossed kind of logo stuff right above the label. Yeah, I love the Rum GM label so much that I knew I was going to pick one of those two. And I will say the 10-year, it has the Rum GM word mark, you know, in red, and it looks so cool in red. It pops. Whatever font they use, I'm guessing it's probably a custom font that they have for the Rum GM logo. I love the lettering. Just looks really great. So yeah, for me, this one scored very high in my categories. It was a 9 out of 10 in bottle aesthetics, just because like I do think you see this shape from other producers, but I think it's a really nice shape, even if it isn't the most unique. I like the overall look of the bottle. The label for me is a 10 out of 10. Originality is a 4 out of 5, primarily because of the strength of the original drawing on the label and also that kind of leather feeling on this one. Copy 4 out of 5. You can, you know, go through it. I'm not going to read it line by line, but you get a nice sense of, you know, what the rum is and you know, Rum GM as a producer. How it feels in the hand, 4 out of 5. So solid. It's a little bit wide. So, you know, sits on the shelf, 3 out of 3. Icon status, 3 out of 3. And top, 3 out of 3. So added up to a 40.5 out of 44.
That's a pretty high score.
The habitation one was a 42, by the way. So that one scored out higher. But ultimately, if I'm just thinking of like bottles that I think it speaks to me, but I also think looks nice to other people as well. Whereas I think the habitation ones mostly look cool to rum nerds, which I'm fine with that. I am a rum nerd. So anyway, I think this one has a little bit wider appeal. And so it's a little bit lower score, but higher ranked personally for me.
I think I've figured out your aesthetic here. I think I've got a theme for you, I think.
Okay.
If you could put a bottle onto an old West saloon and it doesn't look out of place,
that's
gonna love
not
it.
Bad, actually. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah. Although I don't know if all of these pass that test, but I do think the Habitation Velier and the Rum GM, yeah, it does have an Old West kind of vibe to it. Yeah.
Yeah. If it could get shot off of a shelf by a revolver, you're gonna love it.
I'm fine with that. That doesn't. I have no objections there. That's. I'll take the Western aesthetic. I love the American Southwest.
I'll just say a few words about it before I move on to mine. So I don't. Again, it's one I would say I don't absolutely hate it. It's just it would rank lower based on, like you talked about, some of the other Rum GM bottles I like better. This one does reek of that patch on jeans to me, and like I don't know. I'm kind of like okay, you know, all right. I guess they're doing something different. I give them that, and I don't know that I love it, but yeah. So, you know, hey, like we said, the theme here is to each their own, and certainly see why you appreciate it based on how you talked about it. So, You like that?
I like that. That was good. You really landed the plane there. Okay, you've got what, 2 to show me now, right?
I got 2. I got the
Your
last
top
2
2,
here,
yeah.
so I'm cleaning
Okay.
up. So with the first one here, I don't have it, so I'm going to try to share my screen with this one so people can see it. But I will tell you that even without people seeing it, everyone knows this bottle. I'm pretty sure it's what's the right, infamous almost is what I
Ubiquitous?
would call this one. Ubiquitous? No.
Okay, infamous.
I would say infamous because I don't think a lot of people actually had a chance to get their hands on this. So hold on,
I think I
I'm
might
trying
know what this
desperately
is. But I'm probably going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong. I just thought of something that I liked that fits that, and yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, here's the reveal, and if you were right, kudos to you. It is.
No, I was not right.
Appleton Estate. Okay. This is Joy. It is a limited release. So, we talked about that earlier. Most of mine don't fit that, including my following pick in a minute.
Okay.
But this one does. It was a limited release a few years back, aged 25 years. Very difficult to get, and celebrating or commemorating the career of Joy Spence, the master blender for Appleton Estate, who is very well known and well liked. So I do actually own this bottle is what I was going to say. I didn't bring it out because it is at the back of my cabinet in a big case that it comes
Couldn't
in.
even bring it out for the podcast. Just pure laziness. You must not love this bottle that much.
I would have had to move like 80 bottles to get it. And I was like, no. So if there is a downside, that's one of the downsides to it is it's so large. It takes up a lot of space because I still even have it in like the case it came. But I will tell you that the case it came in is part of the package here in the sense that the bottle itself, when you look at the bottle itself, doesn't have a whole lot of information. It's actually doesn't have like a paper label, right? It just has a little bit of like screened on, or I don't know if that's what the process is there of getting that information. And all it really says is Appleton Estate Joy, age 25 years. And it's got a small little statement on the bottom in commemoration of Joy Spence's career and made in the heart of Jamaica. It's really
and you can see
put.
the kind of, I don't know if it's engraved in the glass, but you see kind of an emblem in the back that has 2 doctor birds and some kind of flourishes and things in the back, which is nice.
Exactly. It is really nice. And I mean, this is a statement piece if there ever was a statement piece bottle. The shape of this thing and the curves that it has, super unique, super elegant. The stopper is this big, just globe looking, complete sphere or close to complete sphere. And the stopper on it works really well, even despite that. Sometimes people, I think, can go overboard with creativity, but then it cuts down on the usability. This one doesn't suffer that. It's still really, really nice. Everything about it is just tops. So I can't say, it speaks for itself. I can't say too much more other than this bottle works in every way. It is something that when people see it, they go, whoa, what is that? And that's about as good as you can get with when trying to brand something and making it into something that people want to know more about and or to taste it. So glass design, this one, 25 out of 25. This one gets the highest for me. Usability, I did knock it here because the shape of it in your hand, it's a little bit more difficult to wield and pour. Yeah. So that makes it a little difficult. I gave it a 19 out of 25. I still don't think it's terrible. I just don't think it's, great. The stopper is a perfect 15 out of 15. The label, it's kind of weird because there's not a whole, the label's actually on the case it comes in. And there's some information on the back of the bottle that gives you the ABV, and that is it. There's nothing else on the bottle because it's really highlighting the Appleton Estate Joy name and, like you said, the emblem that's there as well. So, I ended up giving it an 18 of 25 for that. And then in terms of star power, overall presence, it's a perfect 10 out of 10. So that gives it an 87, which is one of the higher scores that I had, and worthy of it, I think. Really just wonderful all the way around.
Yeah. It is. It's. I think of all the Appleton releases, particularly special ones over the year, it's definitely the most memorable to me of all the bottles they've done. And I'm an Appleton fan. I'm not the biggest fan of their standard line of bottles. They went through I do think it was an upgrade from the really squatty bottles. I think it was an upgrade, but it always looks like for a lot of their stuff like there's something slightly missing from it. But the Joy, that's not the case with Joy. Joy is a very nice bottle. I agree with you. Kind of a showstopper type bottle. People notice it. People want to pick it up. People want to drink out of it. It also has this cool kind of suggestion of motion with it. It almost looks like someone was spinning it,
Yeah.
and then it stopped, and it's
Yeah.
still kind of, it's like a subtle corkscrew effect a little bit.
Right. Like how masters of that etched in marble in the Renaissance create motion in their statues. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it pulls that off really well.
Yeah, so it's a nice bottle. I won't
Hey,
say,
so we agree.
I won't say, yeah, I wouldn't, like, obviously I didn't put it in my top 3, so it's not, I just think I think the things that we like and value the most are a little bit different. I think, and it's hard to describe what the other person likes without making it sound like you're making fun of it. You know, you with the Old West Saloon thing.
Go for it.
I like that. I think you gravitate towards the stuff that looks very fancy.
Yes.
And for me, like, I don't know, something about like putting those on display in my house and stuff just feels kind of pretentious. Like, it's not something I would ever do. Which I do want to point out, by the way, that like you love this bottle so much that it shoved so fucking far back in your cabinet that you wouldn't even go bring it out for the show. So yeah, it must be a totally sexy bottle if that's how much you like showing it off.
It just takes so much room and so much that's the only issue I have with it. It's why it's not the number 1 on my list.
So I think on the low end for me, I do like kitschier stuff. Like I do, for example, at this point, which part of it is because it's so bad it's good, like the Rumfire bottle, for example. Like, I would never want them to change that bottle. In fact, I don't even like the version. I think it might only be in Europe, but it's they're using this style bottle, the Providence style bottle, with the Rumfire label, and for me it does not work at all because like this bottle shape is too like subtly elegant for the Rumfire label. They just don't work. So anyway, on the higher end though, I wouldn't describe like to me, the Habitation Vellier bottle isn't kitschy, but it's also not traditionally like trying to be beautiful, fancy, elegant, that sort of thing. I don't know how to describe it really. So anyway, I think we just differ a little in that.
Okay.
Okay. Are you gonna do your last one?
Yeah, I'm gonna do my last one.
Okay.
Oh wait,
and then I've got one more.
And you've got one more. Why don't you go ahead? I guess we can trade off because that probably
okay.
Make it
Well,
easier.
undo the snake.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I'll reiterate is with all of mine, I wanted to pick stuff that was in rotation right now. So that may be another reason why I didn't even really consider something like Joy, since it's, been a few years since. I mean, you can probably find a bottle here or there, but it's mostly a one-off from several years ago. So this is the bottle. I won't say this isn't like a ranking of my favorite bottles of all time.
Right.
But just when I look at the field right now, this is one that just knocked my socks off and does a lot of really cool things. And you actually already guessed.
Oh!
It is the Flag series from La Maison and Vellier. So again,
you are such a La Maison and Vellier fanboy.
Yeah, I'm a total fan. But again, this is La Maison and Vellier. Habitation Vellier is just Vellier, so it's a different company. And then Providence, yes, Vellier is part of it, but Providence is kind of its own. So they're all within the family. I'm making excuses for myself here. I really didn't want to have 3 that were from them, but fuck, they just do it so well. I can't. The heart wants what it wants. I didn't even the rum I'm showing right now, and I think all the labels look beautiful, but the one I'm showing is the Guyana Flag series, so it was one of the 2 first ones that came to the States. I actually didn't love this rum, taste wise. I didn't end up buying a bottle, even though it's here. I fucking loved the taste of the Trinidad. That one was an absolute stunner. Really but I love this label a little bit more just because the colors of the Guyanese flag, the red, the yellow, the green, they just pop so much. The very simple white label, the contrast in this label is phenomenal. You have the white background, the flag pops so much. You have the Guyana 1998 in yellow, so vibrant. And what I think is really cool about these bottles is I think they really merge sort of traditional with a modern feel as well, because you have the most simplest thing to show about a country, their flag, right? You take that, you make it all about the origin of where this is from, but then they do this kind of I don't know, I didn't take any art classes in college, so I don't know all the terminology, but I don't know if this is a deconstructed kind of version of the flag is kind of what it reminds me of, but they put their own little twist on it that just kind of it looks like an art piece, you know, like someone could have that as like a painting in a wall,
or hanging in an art gallery.
Exactly, and it wouldn't look out of place. So
right.
Yeah, I and then, you know, just the information that's there is nice. You know, I haven't always been the biggest fan of wax on bottles. But I do think it works really well in this case. You have the yellow wax on the top contrasting with the very dark, I guess it's kind of like a black glass bottle. Everything about it just pops. It makes you not only want to know about the rum, but I think it makes you want to know about the origin too. I think it's a great sort of ambassador for illustrating to people about how global rum is. So I just think this was like a home run, 10 out of 10 from whoever's idea it was over there at LMNV to do this. That person needs a raise. They like give them whatever they want. It's a home run of an idea. And I'm super excited they're continuing it, and they have more releases. I know coming to the U.S. later this year. So
the Cambodia looks interesting.
Yeah, so this obviously scored very high. It was actually a 39.5, so it wasn't quite as high as the previous two. But like I said, the scores for me were more of a guide of just surfacing like my highest end ones, and then so I could decide what are my favorite between them. But bottle aesthetics for this 9 out of 10. Label is a 10 out of 10. Originality, 4 out of 5. Copy is 4 out of 5. How it feels in the hand, 5 out of 5. How it sits on the shelf, 3 out of 3. Icon status, I gave this one a 1.5 because I do think it has a little bit of the LM&V effect on it, a little bit more than like the Providence did, for example, because it looks more like their stuff.
It's going to rise quickly too.
Exactly. That's the other thing. Like it looks like an icon, you know, like the flag. And then the top, 3 out of 3. It's I believe is a synthetic cork, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, so I hope we found one that we can agree on. But I love these bottles.
We can agree. So I did consider these as a series overall and really like them. So for all the reasons you mentioned, we don't need to go back over it. I do want to ask you though, I'm just curious. You mentioned you're not an art history major, neither am I. But do you have like a period of art or artists that you tend to gravitate towards at all?
No.
Okay. Something. I mean, you know.
I wish I had more fodder for
the discussion,
but I don't.
Something about it reminds me a little bit of like the Cubist and Dada period.
My idiotic knowledge of that, like Cubism, that seems to make sense with this.
And like you said, deconstructed. And that works somehow for me. Usually I am not a fan of modern art.
Right.
I went to the MoMA recently, not too long ago in New York, and I was just like, ugh, most of this is not my jam. I'm very much in the vein of Renaissance and Baroque. And so it's funny that because you mentioned when we were talking about joy and you said my perspective that I like things a little fancier. That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
I like
that
as
soon
kind
as
of,
you said Baroque, I think that's a good description for your aesthetic. Yeah.
I love the Baroque Italian style and some little Renaissance stuff there. And when the bottles give me that vibe, I just love it. And I go with it. So I just think it was interesting because we've kind of worked to a place where we're meeting in these interesting areas our bottle predilections with our just general ideas of aesthetics. So that's kind of cool. So I agree with you. I think that's a great bottle. I think they're a great flag series and look forward to seeing more.
All right. Tie the knot for us.
All right, so my final selection and my number one bottle, like you said, this is not an all-time list. This is not meant to be any overstated. It was just kind of doing this exercise, looking around. Snapshot is a good word, yep. And grabbing what I think is what I like. So I have this bottle here, and I will show it to you now. It is none other than the Worthy Park Single Estates.
Okay.
And this is a wonderful bottle. I will give you the scores in just a minute. I'm just in love with everything about this bottle and have been since the day I bought it. The shape is absolutely classic, yet somehow slightly more refined and special than classic. It has a slightly bigger diameter at the base of the neck than it does the bottom, which usually, again, go back to the idea that might make me scared it's top heavy, but there's sort of a genius design at work here, Will, and I don't know the last time you put your hands on this, but
I put my hands on it while I was preparing for this.
Ah, okay, good. Well, so you see that it's got like almost 2 inches of glass at the bottom, maybe more. And what's interesting is it looks like it's just thick 2 inches of glass there, but that would make it too heavy. So what they did was, you feel on the bottom of it, it's actually cut out. So it goes in like an inch or two underneath, almost like an upside down ashtray. So just that design quality and what they did to make the liquid look like it's sitting up higher than the base of the bottle, and the way they were able to do that and still make it not too heavy. It's just the perfect size and weight in your hands. All of that really just, to me, reeks of a perfect design. This thing is classy as fuck. And I can't get around that in terms of just, this is a bottle that I want people to see if they were to come over and see it. Like you said, that doesn't bother me. I know other people might feel that's pretentious. I've been called that once or twice, but hey, it is
not
what
on
it is.
this podcast. That's who I am. I've never said that before.
Just today.
Oh, I didn't say you are. I said sometimes it can seem a little pretentious to do certain things.
I will take it, because I do think there's a slight feature of my personality I try to suppress. I don't want to be a pretentious person, but people lean certain ways, and sometimes I will lean that way of some of the things that I appreciate and like. The stopper on this is very well made dark wood. It feels like the perfect width for my fingers and makes it a pleasure to open every time. Real cork. Again, I don't care if it's real or synthetic so much. I just like the idea of the cork and the boop that you get when you pull it open. All adds to the experience for me. The information on the label is exactly what I want and I need to make when I'm doing buying decisions. Not that I really needed it in this case, but it's the things it's including, like it's 100% pot still product and a single estate rum, and it highlights that. It also manages to highlight the long established history of Worthy Park as a distillery and its heritage. It's got the cool little windmill and the stone bridge in front of the sugarcane stalks on the bottom there, and on that kind of like small black label on the bottom. On the backside, you get plenty of room to see the color on the bottle so it doesn't get in the way, but you also get useful information on the backside, like telling you that it's once used American oak, white oak, ex-bourbon, and a blend between 6 to 10 years. So that's exactly what I'm looking for on a product, and it's damn near perfect. So this one ends up taking my number one spot. It's not a perfect score, but it was one of the highest. 23 out of 25 for design. Usability, 22 out of 25. Stopper, 14 out of 15. A label and presentation, I mean, it's not doing anything super amazing, but it's doing what it needs to do. So 21 out of 25. And then a 9 out of 10 for the overall presence of this one. So an 89 out of 100.
Wow. 89.
Yeah.
So no one broke through 90 for you.
No, I didn't have something breaking through 90. I don't know if I'm being overly critical and trying to get too much in detail with a 100-point scoring system anyways.
Sure.
But, I was also trying to give myself room so that I didn't have everything exactly the same and could make those decisions.
Sure.
So this is just, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very compelling case. I understand why you like it. For me, it's in. We already had this conversation with the Homeski bottles. Mm-hmm, it's in that category for me, where it's it looks nice, and that takes work, that takes intelligence, that takes good design. So I think they did a good job with it. But it's like a really nice pair of khaki pants is how I feel about it, basically.
I love khaki pants.
See, eventually we arrived at each other. We got to know each other through the course of this. I enjoy a great Western saloon. You enjoy a nice pair of khaki pants. I love the jeans with the nice little logo on the back. It's all coming together. I actually scored this one with my system as well, just because I was curious, because it's been a bottle that I've always just like. I like the shape. I like a lot of what's going on with it, but I think I've just always wanted a little bit. It felt like it needed something to give it just something different. I don't know. I feel like you could take the label off and put it on like a bunch of different Scotch bottles, and it would look right at home. Which I'm not saying rum like can't look like Scotch or anything. It can. I don't know. It's just a little blah for me. It rated out as a 33.5 out of 44 on my scale. So not a terrible score. But a fine score. So yeah, it's interesting that you brought up the little strip underneath the label, because the 12 year does not have that. It puts the age statement there. And I think the bottle misses that part a little bit, because that does show a little bit of personality.
You mean the 12-year is missing the personality?
Yes.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think this one does it better. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, I will accept that you're, not. What would be the right word? Just to say not on the level, but that's not right. We're not seeing eye to eye is what I was looking for exactly on this.
We just have different styles. If we each had an unlimited budget and for like decorating the inside of a house, I'm sure we would end up with completely different houses. And I would need some help, by the way, because I suck at trying to decorate rooms.
Same.
So
same. Thank God.
Yeah, if we each hired a designer to help us, basically, we would end up with like very different looking things, and that's fine. I'd probably enjoy coming to your house and hanging out every once in a while, and you would enjoy coming over to mine and experiencing the different aesthetics. So, can we rattle off some honorable mentions of just other ones?
Let's do it. Yes.
So in this Price is No Object, I want to give a shout out for the Foursquare ECS series. Truly an icon of the rum world. I love those bottles.
Super functional.
That one actually rated 39 out of 44 on mine, so just a half point lower than the Flag series, for example. The bottle, you almost take it for granted, but it's a really original bottle shape. It's subtle, it's not super flashy, but very cool. And I was surprised by this, but I saw these bottles in several stores in Europe and was like, these are actually really cool, and I think a lot cooler than the bottles they're typically known for, which is El Dorado's Rare Collection. So these bottles look a lot different.
Are these No, that's the single barrel, really tall, angular ones.
No, not that one.
Those I did not like.
Yeah, I don't like that one either. Hold on one second. It's like these, if you can see those. The sort of dark green glass, the label, the gold El Dorado lettering. Cool shape. Yeah. I think those are really cool bottles. So that was one. What are some honorable mentions for you?
So you like those, but you don't like the Diplomatico.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty close.
Those aren't frosted.
Okay. They're not frosted. Okay. All right.
Any honorable mentions?
Oh, yeah. I thought you had more.
Oh, I do.
So go for it. Do you want to? Well, I guess then I'm going to be copying a bunch of you. I'll give a few. Don Q Gran Añejo, especially the older bottle.
I was going to say I like the older one better than the newer ones. The newer ones look like, I don't know. They look like someone was making them for a design portfolio or something. They just
They were trying to keep the theme because they were trying to match the 7, and I see what they were trying to go after, but it lost a lot of the personality in doing so. And the Don Q old Gran Añejo really sparkles with personality. That is a huge crystal stopper, which I'm sure you hate, but I think that one I like. A couple other ones. Believe it or not, I did try to look at the Smith & Cross.
Smith & Cross is a very nice bottle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a nice bottle. It didn't end up kind of winning out, but it is respectable. And I'll give one more for now. Ninefold. So Ninefold embossed glass. Really cool design overall. I like their icon for the brand. So that was a really nice one as well.
A few. Another one that's recent that I like a lot. It's primarily because of the labels. I think the Alambique Serrano labels are really cool. They're just doing something different. I love the photography on them, the sort of washed out colors. It does almost have like a 70s retro kind of vibe to it. So maybe that's just my thing, is I like stuff that looks old and dated. But those are really cool. I'll give a hat tip, because these bottles aren't really my taste, but they're one of a kind, and you can tell that they've put a lot of thinking into them. I'll give a hat tip to Renegade for their bottles. Very original. I hate glass tops, but the color that they have on the glass tops is very cool. Like visually, they're very impressive when you see them. Very distinctive. Yep. So just a hat tip to them. I agree. And I think the Hampton Estate bottlings. I know you don't like those labels. Way too much text. I love those labels. I've had a love affair with the font called Cooper, which is featured on those labels since I was a much younger man. So, that's great. Beta Tresor doing some nice stuff with their bottles. Those are cool. So,
I had a couple. I'll also give. I don't know if it's a hat tip. It's more than that. But I didn't really rank them in the same way. So one is the Down Island series. That what they're doing, that they kind of, I almost see it as utilitarian in just trying to highlight what are the rum itself, what's in the bottle, and how do you easily convey and communicate that information on a label. And I think they've done that well. So that's one. And then the Samaroli series. I mean, the Samaroli series has some really amazing art, good bottles.
Same bottle that Vellier
I don't love all of them. Yeah, some of them I don't love, is what I was just going to say. And sometimes it feels like clip art, which is weird. And then other times they knock it out of the park. And I'm like, man, that is amazing. So there's a broad spectrum, but I just wanted to give them a shout out. There were some non-rums also. Okay. Did you have any non-rums
John,
that you were looking at that you were just like, ooh?
Go ahead and list off your non-rums.
Well, one is a cachaça. So I wanted to shout out Nosa Cachaça. Similar in certain ways to Ninefold, I think, in terms of bottle, in terms of like the embossed glass thing that they're doing. It's different, but really cool, and it does stand out quite a bit. I think they did a fantastic job.
Let me grab
on that
the bottle real quick. I have it right here in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, so Nosa's got like this zigzag chevron
like
pattern almost. And the label in the middle of it is just
kind of textured.
What you need. It is. I just think they really did a well thought out good job with it. It's a good product and it's a good bottle. It stands out. So just wanted to give a quick shout out for non-rums. I just wanted to give another quick shout out to Saint Germain. I think Saint Germain's a really cool looking bottle. Probably too ornate for you, Will, but I
don't know what the bottles look like, so.
Oh no! Oh, so I have to share
I know the Saint Germain. Yeah, the elderflower liqueur. Yeah.
Exactly, the elderflower liqueur that kind of comes up and it comes like that. It's just a cool looking bottle.
Like what's the? I can't remember the name of that kind of art. It reminds me of the Great Gatsby movie, the Baz Luhrmann one that came out. I forget what that style is called.
I do too. Oh, that's Art Deco.
Oh, is it Art Deco?
Right?
I like some art. I like the kind of Cuban Art Deco type looking stuff. Anyway, it's not important.
Yeah. Well, that one, and then another shout out to a bottle called Italicus.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking
that
about?
bottle is cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a cool, like this really like light blue. It's a bergamot or bergamot liquor, and it's just any video online where people are talking about spirits, you're going to see it in the background because I mean they've done such a good job of creating something that was super unique and that has people like going gaga over it. So, anyways. That was them. Do we want to talk about any that we didn't really like?
I'll give a few quick. These aren't... So there are a million bottles we could list off that are like obviously horrible looking. And I'm less interested in those. And I'm more interested in... There's been some redesigns lately that I don't think all have been improvements. One of which I can see the merit for the new Bourbon Court bottles. I think I like the old ones more. Let me show you I think it works better on the Haitian proof one, but like the 8-year. Let me share this.
That's funny. I saw it as a minor improvement.
So there's just something, I don't know if it's just because the former Bourbon Court bottles were just the ones that for a long time, but there's just something that feels... It looks like the new one looks like a modern car versus the old one looks more like a classic car to me. The old one's a little more angular where it kind of like tapers to the neck, and the new one is a little bit more bulbous sort of. The label is this like very bright white. Everything is center aligned. I kind of liked how I love the Bourbon Court, the classic star logo that they have. So I'm very glad they kept that on. I just the old one just looks a little bit more classic to me. And maybe that's just because it's old, but I'm having a hard time adjusting out here to our new reality.
I can kind of see it when you put them side by side for me. I do agree that the old bottle design seems better, but the label has some improvements to it.
I think it pops a little bit more, but for me, like, so strategically, it probably was smart, but I just like the look of the old one better.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to give you a hot take on one that I'm going to get hate mail for.
All right.
I don't like the RL Seals bent bottles.
Oh, but wait, that's tons of people feel that way. I don't
Really?
really like
Because
those.
I feel like
I don't like those
every
bottles
time I hear
either.
they're like, "Oh, I love that bottle that looks like it's melted or whatever," and I'm like, "No, I just don't love it."
You know that's supposed to
Um,
look like a hip flask?
No,
I didn't know that
realize
either
that.
until I read about it. I think when we did the episode where we tasted all those lower price Foursquare rums, I thought it was supposed to look like a melting bottle.
Me too. That's what I really thought. I thought
Yeah.
it was supposed to be like a melted pirate bottle.
No, I'm not a fan of that bottle either. I do think
okay.
I think it was probably effective and like a
Yeah,
smart marketing
sticking
decision
out.
because I do think a lot of people see that and they're like, oh, cool. Like when you see that it's hip flask, it's kind of like pirate buccaneer aesthetic a little bit, which is
Right.
appealing to a lot of people. So, but yeah,
Yep.
it's not for me. I'm in agreement with you on that one.
Okay. Blackadder.
I don't like the Blackadder bottles either.
Ugh,
No.
not a fan. Okay. Well, hey, we know what we don't like.
That's true. See? Yeah.
Pirat or whatever that's terrible.
Atrocious.
Squatty bottle
Yeah.
is awful.
Atrocious.
There's a Clarence series called, I can't even pronounce it, Akzange.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And I'm not a fan of the art on those at all. It kind of feels slapdash to me, and I get it, that's cultural, so I don't want to say anything poorly about cultural art, but it just doesn't work for me. I love the other Claren Vellier bottles much better.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And those are local art too. So, yeah, there's just some ones that I was having trouble with. Of course, like you said, there's the ones that are just really bad and everybody can agree on. Wild Tiger is a fun one.
Wait, is that the one with like the tiger jacket around the bottle?
Yeah, it's got a literal tiger jacket around the bottom. I was like, wow, I can't even believe that's a product that still exists.
Can I give you one more that's in my
go for it.
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed category? And it's mostly because I know how great this rum is, and I know this is one of your favorite rums. So I'll be interested to see what you think about this bottle, because for me, and I'm not against like minimalism. I think that can be done really well, but this to me feels like I just want it to do something. Every time I see it on a store and a shelf, I'm just like, can't you do something? Just give me a sign of life. Do something with this bottle. Okay. So this is Paralabot 59.
Yeah. I super agree with you here.
A stark black label with white writing. It almost like, when you bring up Keynote or PowerPoint and you just do like the blank template, like this is what it would look like if you just typed in the words.
If Basic Bitch were a bottle, this is...
There's just so much. And like the other, the aged bottlings that they have, I think look better. They're still like not my favorite from a design perspective overall. But this one for me is just like, man, just give me anything. I'm not asking for like...
Because it's so
I know,
good.
it's so good. Right. Yes. I'm not asking for a bunch of bells and whistles or anything, but I can't get with it. Not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there too. So we're in a lot more agreement about that category than we are about our top stuff.
So anyway, I think we've managed to talk about this for nearly 2 hours. So hopefully people enjoyed this, and hopefully we didn't have people just say, I'm never listening to these guys again after hearing the deep details of what they think about bottle and label design. So definitely we learned some things about we learned some things about ourselves, some lessons along the way. So any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I think you encapsulated it really well. And, it's okay to have different opinions. This is all subjective at the end of the day, right? So, just because we happen to hate or love a bottle that you don't or do, it is what it is. That's why we are spoiled for choice in the sense that we have so many awesome and amazing rums all around the world, some of which, they're much better in the bottle than they are outside of the bottle, like the two that Will is happening to hold up right now. And that's okay. It's a fun thing to talk about this too. I honestly didn't think we would talk this long about it when I was thinking of this. Yeah, I felt like it would be like, okay, we'll be through this quickly. But there's a lot here. So, for people who are thinking about rum brands or even thinking about bringing something to market, gosh, it's a lot of work to think about this. And we just, are trying to be judgy without being judgy. So, good luck to you. Yeah.
Well, we'd love to hear all of your bottle and label design hot takes. Let us know what we didn't talk about that we should have, what your favorites are. If you want to put together a scoring rubric, we would love to see that. And let us know what you disagreed with. Who was right, who was wrong about the various disagreements we had. Because, there's not really a right answer, but there is a right answer, so let us know.
There's definitely a wrong answer.
Let us know what you think. You can send us an email at host@rumcast.com. That's host@rumcast.com. Or you can find us on social media. John, where can they find us?
At the Rumcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, as well as YouTube, as you mentioned earlier. So go to any of those accounts, leave us a comment, let us know your bottles, send us a picture, put it on there. Tell us what we got right and got wrong, and what we missed on our rubrics, like Will was saying. I would be curious to know, because everything's sort of hinged on that. So, give us a little bit about your insight into how you would rate these, and let us know.
All right. Well, until next time, cheers.
Cheers.